is a statistical question anticipates variability in the data related to the question. Now, what does variability mean? That's our important word here and the key part of our definition. Well, variability means that the data must be invariable. And math, the variable is anything that changes. So basically, the answer to the question has to change or can change from person to person or subject to subject. So we're going to walk through a couple examples to illustrate our definition. First, I'm going to ask, how tall are you? Well, if someone asks me, how tall am I would say I am 5 foot 5 inches. But can I give any other answer? I'm always 5 foot 5 inches. That's how tall I am. So that is not a statistical question. There's only one answer. It does not vary. It does not change. Okay. Next is, how tall is each person in your house? Well, there's two people in my house. The first person is me, I'm 5'5", and the second person is 5'2".
Sorry for the late
Those
announcement.
are two variable answers change by the person.
Thank you.
So you guessed it, it is a statistical question because my answer varies. Couple more. How many sides does a triangle have? Hopefully you're shouting out to me, 3. There's 3 sides to a triangle. And that's it. If it doesn't have 3 sides, if it has 4 sides, it is not a triangle. If it has 2 sides, well, it's not even a shape. So this is not a statistical question. One last one. How many cousins does each of your classmates have? If I were to ask each one of you, how many cousins that you have? Well, the first person can say 0, the second person can say 4, the next person can say 2, and so on and so forth. I asked everyone in your class. So because each different answer varies from person to person, because our data is a variable, this is a statistical question. Okay? Hopefully you understand what a statistical question is, and it's your turn to practice. So what you're going to do is open this Google slide, and on the last slide there's a little activity. You're going to have questions, and you need to drag and drop them and put them in the appropriate bucket.
Alright, so the biggest thing that you need to understand when we're talking about statistical questions is that it is not a yes or no answer. So if I said, do you like school? You're either going to say yes or you're going to say no, right? That's not a statistical question because you don't get a lot of variety. If I ask, what is your favorite color, everybody in the classroom will probably get a decent amount of variability with that. So variability means variety. So just kind of keep that in mind when you guys are going through this. I just passed out your foldable, so please fold that in half. So again, you should have the left page labeled Unit 8 Pre-Assessment, and then the right page is what is a statistical question foldable. thumbs up when you have this copied down and you're ready to move on. All right, so starting with the top one, it says, what is a statistical question? So, a good statistical question is a question that, when you ask it, you would expect to get different answers from different people. So the expectation is that you get lots of different answers, okay? Make sure you underline, highlight, whatever you want to do. This is called variability. And in parentheses, I want you to put right. In the data you collect from the question, from asking the question. All right, moving down to the next section. We're gonna do a stand up, sit down kind of thing. So it says, which questions are good statistical questions to ask? Circle your choices. So stand up if you think A is a good statistical question. It says, how many inches are in a foot? So why is this not a good statistical question? Ronnie? There's only one answer. Doesn't matter who I ask, right? If I ask everybody in this room, in this school, in 6th grade, I'm going to get the same answer of what? 12. Okay, so that is not one. All right. How many hours do you watch TV at night? Okay, so why is this a statistical question? Delilah.
Because everybody watches TV at night now.
Right. So why? How many hours do you watch TV at night? 3 hours. Noah. Huh? None? 0? Okay. Aiden. Like 0 to 3, 1 to 5. 0 to 3? Okay. Okay. Leo?
1 to 3 hours.
Okay. 0. Huh? 1 to 3? 1 to 3? Okay. What if I asked how many hours do you watch TV on the weekend? Did that change a lot?
Yes.
Okay. So, however much you do or you don't watch TV, you're going to get a couple different types of answers for this one. All right, see, it says how many snacks do you eat a day? So stand up if you think this is a statistical question. Excuse me. All right, so why do we say that this is a statistical question? What makes us think that? Willie?
Because it varies from person to person.
Right, it varies from person to person. Some days you might eat 1, some days you might eat 0, some days you might eat 6. Just really depends on what mood you're in, right? All right, D. It says how many how many students are in the 6th grade? So stand up if you say this is a statistical question. So why is this not a statistical question? There's usually only one answer. Now, do we get students who leave? Do we get students who move in? Yes, but does that change day to day, hour to hour? No. So maybe at the beginning of the year we have X amount of students, and at the end of the year we have a different amount of students. But the variability is not going to change a whole lot. All right, and then E, how many songs are on your phone, iPod, iPad, etc., whatever you use to listen to music. Stand up if you think this is a statistical question. Alright, and why? Raise your hand. Why is it a statistical question? Troy.
Because different people who like different types of songs.
And that will determine that they have different like you and me probably don't have the same number of songs on whatever we listen to, right? The likelihood of you having the same number of songs as the next person is very slim. Okay? Alright, now, it says write a good statistical, I can't even talk. Write a good statistical question that would collect numerical data. Numerical means what?
Numbers.
Just making sure. Alright, numerical data about how your classmates feel about school lunch. So think about school lunch, and as a group, you guys are gonna come up with a statistical question. Alright, remember, before y'all start, it cannot be a yes or no, so don't say, do you like school lunch? That's not a statistical question. Alright, so do the top one and then stop. Stand up when you're done. Okay, go ahead.
How many people
You're gonna get the same answer. Don't be so specific in your question, because the more specific you get, the more narrow your answers are gonna be. All right, have a seat. So who would like to share what they came up with for their question? All right, Troy, what'd you guys come up with?
How often do you eat school food?
Perfect. How often do you eat school lunch? That's a great question. Because sometimes it might be 0, sometimes it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there's lots of different things you can do. Yes.
This is how would you rate school lunch? 1 to 5 stars.
Perfect. So again, getting that numerical data. Would you rate it a 1 star, a 0 stars, a 5 stars, whatever? Okay, Lily.
What's your favorite school lunch?
It's numerical though. It has to be numbers. Because that would be a category, because you'd be picking the pizza or the whatever, the
Yeah, but it
chocolate.
could be like how many people like do.
That's not what you asked. You asked what is your favorite school lunch. If you asked me what my favorite school lunch would be, I would say pizza. I wouldn't say a number, right? You see what I'm saying? So just be careful, and we'll get into more specific about category and numerical. So Troy, what was yours again?
How often do you eat school lunch?
So how often do you eat school lunch? And then, Emma, what was y'all's?
How would you rate school lunch 1 to 5?
How would you rate school lunch 1 to 5? Alright, so both of those are good examples. They don't have to be those exact ones, but just make sure that you are collecting numbers in your data because that's what it said. Alright, is it possible that people will answer your question with several different responses? If not, try to rewrite it. If so, what are some possible responses? So for the first one, how often do you eat school lunch? What would be a possible response? So 5 days? So 5 days. Alright. What would be another response? Delilah?
2 days.
2 days. Alright. What about the second question we put up here? How would you rate school lunch 1 to 5? Lily?
Like a 3.
3. What would be another rating? Gemma? 4. What would be another one? Ronnie? 2. Troy?
2.5.
2.5. Alright, so again, collecting numbers. Alright, any other questions about a statistical question? It's pretty simple for the most part. You cannot have the same number of answers. You can't have similar answers. You can't, you want a lot of variety. So think about like, you want a lot of colors in your answers. Think about it that way. Okay, you don't want just solid black, charcoal, gray. That would be my opinion, but you know. You want to have every color from white to yellow to red to pink to violet to lavender. I mean, like every possible color is how you want to think about your answer. Does that make sense? Yes, no? Honestly, does it make sense? All right. This is obviously going to be bigger than your notebook, so you're going to need to fold the top section down, and then you're going to need to glue it in here. Okay, once you get that glued in, turn the page and title it Statistical Question Task Cards. And then today's date, stand up when you're done. Alright, for the remainder of the class period today, you are going to be working on the statistical question task cards. You are doing this independently. That means you are not working with anybody else. Yes, you may work around the room. No, you do not need to be talking to anybody. When you click on these, they're gonna pop up. You have 20 questions. So, it says, number 1, decide if this is a statistical question or not. If it is, give an example of 3 possible answers. If it is not, rewrite it to be a statistical question. So, the question is, how many dogs do you have? Is that a statistical question? Yes, it is. Because if we asked everybody in this classroom, would we get the same 2? No, some of us don't have any, some of us might have a lot. It just depends. So for number 1, what you would do in your notebook, since we've decided that it is a statistical question, just give me 3 answers. All right, give me 1.
2.
2. What's another one? Levi. 3. What's another one? Mikhail. 0. So that's what you would do for number 1. Okay, so go ahead. If I read, I do that so that you know. So in your notebook, number 1, that's what you're putting. Nobody has their iPad open yet. We're only writing in our notebooks. We need to learn to follow directions again. So 2, 3, and 4 are the same as number 1. Does that make sense? All right. Sliding down to number 5, 6, 7, and 8. It says write a statistical question that would have generated the following answers. Wow, that was entirely too hard to read. So for number 5, our answers are 2, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3. So what would a statistical question be that would go with that? Troy?
How many bottles of water do you have each day?
Perfect. So for number 5, you need to write how many bottles of water do you drink? Bless you. Each day. Bless you. All right, that is the same for 6, 7, and 8. So going down to 9, 10, 11, 12. It says justify and explain whether or not this is a statistical question. So we're going to read the question. How many text messages do you send each month? Is this a statistical question? Very much so, because I might send less than Levi, but Levi might send more than Isaac. So we're going to get different answers, correct? And why is this a statistical question then? So that's what number 9. We're going to say yes, because what does it have?
Different answers on different numbers on a screen.
So if we want to use a really good math word, we're going to say because it has a lot of variability. So that is going to be number 9. Now, what if it is not a statistical question? What is it not going to have a lot of? It's going to have, or it's not going to have a lot of variability. So really, if 10, 11, or 12 is a no, you're simply going to write no because it does not have a lot of variability. Does that make sense? So it's going to be very similar in your answers. So 10, 11, 12 is the same thing. 13, 14, 15, it says write yes or no to show whether or not this is a statistical question. How many students are absent each month? Is that a statistical question? Yes, because you're gonna have, like, there's gonna be different numbers of absences each month. So, and even if you wanted to be a little bit more specific and say each grade level, we're gonna have different absences every day. So all you're doing for 13, 14, 15, 16 is writing yes or no. Does that make sense? In 13, we said yes. All right. 17, 18, 19, and 20. These are your last ones. So 17 says, describe and explain the difference between a statistical question and a non-statistical question. Again, you should be able to answer that. 18 and 19 are to write, 18 is to write a statistical question, 19 is to write a non-statistical question, and number 20, it says, why are statistical questions important? When would you use a statistical question, and how might using a statistical question, who might use a statistical question in their job and why? All right, so that last one leads into where we're going for statistics. Okay, so just do the best you can to answer number 20. All right, any questions with your task cards? All right, you may move around the room. You are not talking, so you moving is gonna make you talk. I would not move. All right, go ahead. If you do not finish this, what does it become? Homework.